Hi, my name is Jenna. This is Books Love Jenna, and this is the March TBR. There are three things that we need to cover in the March TBR. First, we need to talk about the books that I need to read for book groups and things like that. Second, we need to talk about picking some fate-chosen books off of my bookshelf, my TBR bookshelf. And third, and the biggest stack of all, is Middle Grade March. If you participate in Middle Grade March, you might want to stick around to the end. And if you don't participate in Middle Grade March and you're not interested in middle grade reads, then after we pick these, you can choose to sign off. I think this might be a longer video. Not the longest video, but a longer video. Let's start with what I need to read. First of all, my in real life book group is going to be reading The Correspondent. I don't own a copy of this. I've been holding off on buying copies of books for my in real life book group until I read them and know whether or not I like them. I have not purchased the first two books we've read, and I won't be purchasing them. I hear nothing but good things about The Correspondent. It is a novel written in letters. It is an epistolary novel, and those don't always hit for me. I'm anticipating that I'll enjoy it, but will I love it enough to want to own it and read it again and again? I don't know. So I'm going to hold off. I'm going to listen to it. And we'll see how that goes. Next, for my own book group that I host here on BookTube, we're reading two books. We always read two books, a fiction and a nonfiction. The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, which is a short but very impactful read, and the longer but incredibly readable The Sisters by Mary Lovell. Are our two picks, and I've already posted on Thursday of last week, I posted a introductory video to these. So if you want to know more about them, you can look there, but I'll definitely be reading those. For my 12 and 12 challenge each year for the past few years, I have asked my in real life friends to recommend books that have been favorites of theirs or that have been impactful to them, specifically thinking about them, not me. You know, like, don't recommend a book you think I would love, recommend a book that you loved. And so this month's read is from my friend Carmen, and it is a nonfiction theology book. She always recommends a nonfiction theology, and it's always blown my socks off. So this is How Women in the Bible Advance the Story of Salvation by Ingrid Faro, with Joyce Kudal-Rumpel and a foreword by Skye Jethani. And this, from what I understand from the back, is chronologically telling the stories of the women that are featured in the Bible with stories, and pulling out pulling through the layers of what we see there, theologically, culturally, what is the true intention behind these stories, maybe disengaged from a long-held patriarchal read of the scripture. This is not in any way going to be a feminist nonfiction, but it is definitely going to be trying to get at the heart of women in the Bible and the role of women in ministry in particular, and how that is so much larger in scope, or intended to be so much larger in scope, than it has been reduced to by the mainstream church over centuries. I think it's going to be fascinating. My friend who recommended it, Carmen, she is a theologian herself. She is a Hebrew scholar. She teaches at a seminary in California, and we went to school together, and I fully trust her recommendations in the theology department. So I'm looking forward to reading that one and reporting back to her. I have two books that I will be starting for Hardcore Literature Book Club, which I am participating in this year. One I have right now, and one I will have to order later. So the one I'm ordering is the complete poetry and prose of William Blake. I don't know if we need to read the complete poetry and prose, but I'm going to. And also The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky is one of my favorite authors of all time. I've only read one book by him once. So can I say that? Yes, I think I can. I read the Brothers Karamazov over the course of the year 1999, and I will never forget that I read it in 1999 because I finished it on the eve of Y2K. So if you know what Y2K is, you know what I'm talking about. So I will never forget that that was the year that I read it, and that was the year that really changed my reading life. I didn't know that I could love a book so much or read a book so slowly, but it kind of crushed all feelings of intimidation by, any book that existed. Suddenly I felt like I could pick up any book. Any book was possible. Not every book would be for me, but every book would be approachable for me from that point forward, and really changed the whole trajectory of my reading life. And so I definitely count Dostoevsky among my favorite authors of all time, definitely most impactful. I have never reread Brothers Karamazov from beginning to end, but I have gone in and read portions of it again and again and again and again. I have never read, obviously, if I've only read the Brothers Karamazov, I've never read The Idiot. I'm really looking forward to this one. Let's see what it says on the back. I won't read any massive spoilers. This one is translated by Constance Garnett. It includes an introduction that I will not read by Joseph Frank. I probably will read the introduction. If I read it at all, I'll read it after I've read the actual book. And it says, the story begins when Mishkin arrives on Russian soil after a stay in a Swiss sanatorium. Scorned by St. Petersburg society as an idiot for his generosity and innocence, the prince, he's a prince, okay, the prince finds himself at the center of a struggle between a rich-kept woman and a beautiful, virtuous girl who both hope to win his affections. Unfortunately, Mishkin's very goodness seems to bring disaster to all he meets, leading to a shocking ending that tragically reveals how, in a world obsessed with money, power, and sexual conquest, a sanatorium is the only place for a saint. So perhaps we're just watching him go through some pain and then return to a sanatorium. Sounds like a good time. What I trust about Dostoevsky is that no matter what story he's telling, it's going to be profound, it's going to be impactful, and it's going to be applicable to my life, which that doesn't sound like it, but I know it will be. I know it will be. At the very least, it will make me think deeply. I am also going to continue on with reading a Sophie Kinsella each month in the year 2026 to honor the life of one of my very favorite authors of all time who passed away last year with brain cancer. I've started with the Shopaholic series. This won't take me through the whole year because there aren't 12 books in the series. So I'm gonna read this one, and then next month I'll probably read a standalone just to space it out so that I'm ending the Shopaholic series in December with Christmas Shopaholic. But this month I'm gonna read the third in the series. This is one of my favorites. This is Shopaholic Ties the Knot, her wedding story, and it just cracks me up so much. By the way, he's a little bit bespeckled with some coffee, but this is my favorite We're Moving into Spring mug. I love this little hedgehog, my little spring hedgehog. Sometimes I refer to her as Ermintrude. I finished the Cassandra Clare prequel trilogy to City of Bones, and that one was set in a Victorian type period, and I am ready to move into the set of 6 that I got for my birthday book haul, which is City of Bones. And I'm going to start with Shadowhunters. These are just hitting my imagination spot right now. I'm really enjoying her writing. I'm really enjoying her world building. It's the level of fantasy that I am craving. Familiar situations, but not like you know them at all, with lots of intrigue and lots of shocking relationships, lots of gossip and fun. It's fun. It's not serious. I mean, it is serious to the characters, but it's not serious to me, and it feels escapist. It feels escapist, and I need a little bit of that right now, but I don't want it to be hard work to escape. And so these are hitting the spot for me, at least the previous series. I'm going to start this series. Very excited. Again, got these in my birthday book haul, so these are coming off of my my shelf over here, my TBR shelf, so that is also a plus. I'm really looking forward to starting this. Let's see what it says on the back. It says, Clary Frey is seeing things. Vampires in Brooklyn and werewolves in Manhattan. Irresistibly drawn to the shadow hunters, a secret cadre of warriors dedicated to ridding the world of demons, Clary encounters the dark side of New York City and the dangers of forbidden love. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. And then I'm also continuing on with the Little House on the Prairie series. I've read the first 2 books in that series. Just read Farmer Boy. Absolutely loved it. Reread Farmer Boy. It is one of my top 2 favorites in that series. But there are not 12 books in that series either. So that is not going to take me through the whole year. And I do want to read something Laura Ingalls Wilder adjacent each month this whole year. So I have this beautiful beast. I have Laura Ingalls Wilder, Pioneer Girl, an annotated autobiography. And I've had this for years, and I've dipped in and out of it. This is the text of her autobiography, which she wrote before she wrote, and never published, but she wrote it before she wrote the Little House books. This is written for an adult audience or a more grown-up audience, and covers instances in her life that are not actually covered in the Little House books. And of course, because it's written for an adult audience, it does a lot less romanticizing of the hardships of being a pioneer girl. So I have read bits and pieces of it. I've not read it front to back. I've mostly just read the annotations, and I would really like to sit down and read her words from beginning to end, you know, like they were meant to be read. I have also since learned that there are 2 more books in this annotated Laura Ingalls Wilder annotated illustrated series that I didn't know existed. They came out after I got this. I was just satisfied to get this. I got it as a birthday present one year, and I was just really satisfied with this, but I'm going to, over the course of this year, acquire and read the other 2 books in this Laura Ingalls Wilder annotated series. I don't even know what they cover. I don't even know what's in them. I'm just going to get them and read them. If you are reading, I know a couple of people have mentioned to me that they are reading the Little House books kind of simultaneously with me, like one a month. We're not talking about them or anything. We're just kind of like shooting messages back and forth. But if you are doing that, whether you have contacted me or not, I am taking a short break. I am picking up with the series again in April. But in March, I'm going to read this one. Figured it was a good time to read that one. I know that the others are technically middle grade and would fit for middle grade March, but I'm just rearranging over here. But I think that I read middle grade books so very quickly, and I have so few like adult novels that I need to finish on this stack that it's a really good time to fit Pioneer Girl in. Okay, let's do this. We're only going to pick, let's say, 2 from each deck. So a total of 4. We'll pick 2 from each deck for a total of 4. Do I remember my own rules for this? I don't know, but we'll make it up as we go along. The whole point is to have a bit of surprise and to get some books off of my shelf and off of my unread shelf and onto my read shelves, which you've never seen. They're in a completely different room. Maybe someday I should film in there. There's not great lighting in there, but it's a nice little office room with all my craft stuff and all of my red bookshelves. They take up an entire wall. You think this is a lot? You haven't seen anything, my friends. Okay, so I've mixed them up. Let's I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at the cards in my hand. This is our first one. Ooh, it's Charlotte herself, the Queen. So do I remember how this goes? It's a red card. So Queen is going to be 12 spots. I'm going to move 12 spots in a particular direction. I won't state what direction since I said one thing and did another in the last video. And it's red, so that's going to determine a direction. And she's a woman, so that determines top or bottom. I think women, we started at the top. Red, let's go that way. And I don't remember. Let's just see what happens. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to count down and then up and then down. And we've got to do 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we're on this very packed shelf right there. There's actually some middle grade books on there. There's also, there's 1 or 2 Christmas books on there that I'm going to count over. And then there are a bunch of Book of the Month books that I'm backed up on. So this is great. This is a great shelf. Let me see. I'm going to count 13 books. I'm going to start, I won't get a Book of the Month book. I don't think I won't, because I'm going to start with the Book of the Month stack that's on the front and then go to the back of the shelf. Okay, I'm really happy with this. This is a very fun reread for me. This is Beverly Cleary's Jean and Johnny. Let's read the back. It says, Jean Jarrett is astonished when handsome, popular senior Johnny picks her out of a crowd and asks her to dance. Jean wishes she were taller and more graceful and that she didn't wear glasses. Then maybe people would stop staring. As it is, she's too embarrassed even to look at him. But as the school year goes on, Johnny pays more and more attention to her. Jean still can't quite believe that Johnny could like a shy 15-year-old. One thing's for certain, life has gotten a lot more interesting since Johnny came along. I love this one. I also have 15 and Sister of the Bride. I don't have The Luckiest Girl with me, but I have 15 and Sister of the Bride, and I've recently reread, well, in the last couple of years, I've reread both of those. I've tried to reread Jean and Johnny, and it just hasn't ever worked out, so I'm really excited to reread Jean and Johnny. Plus, it is a short, quick, entertaining read. All right, Brontes, you're doing a good job here. Okay. I'll pick this. Nope, I can still see. I see better, actually. I'm going to pick this way. And what do we get? We got Charlotte again, because it's John Reed, Jane Eyre. So this, although it says Charlotte up at the top, this is a boy. So we're going to count that as a male. So we'll count from the bottom up this time. It is a red card, and it is 8. So red, so we're going to count the same direction we counted last time. This is much simpler than I was trying to make it out to be in my own head. All right, so 8. 1, 2, nope, we're starting at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're right here on this shelf, which just has a lot of random fiction on it, and I'm very excited about that. We're going to count 8 from here that way. We're going to count 8 from, in that direction. I'm actually going to start at the top here and count my way down, go this way, and then count my way up if I won't get that far, but you know what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I forgot I had this. This is a romance. This is Billy and Me. Jean and Johnny and Billy and Me. This is Giovanna Fletcher's Billy and Me. And I've never read anything by Giovanna Fletcher. I do remember why I got this. I got this from Better World Books. I needed to put something else in my cart. I knew I wanted a romance, and the cover that you see on Better World Books is related to the ISBN number, but the edition that you get is not necessarily the cover that you see, because ISBN numbers share covers as the covers change and in different markets. So I got this. This was not the cover that attracted me. I just put it on the shelf and never thought about it really much again. So let's find out what it's about. I think I have put this on a TBR in the past, but let's find out what it's about. It says, I think it's Sophie. I can't really tell because it's covered over, but I think it's Sophie May has a secret. Oh, it definitely is Sophie because it says so down below. Okay, Sophie May has a secret, one that she's successfully kept for years. It's meant that she's had to give up her dreams of going to university and traveling the world to stay in her little village, living with her mum and working in the local tea shop. But then she meets the gorgeous Billy, an actor with ambitions to make it to the top. I don't remember this at all. And when they fall in love, Sophie is whisked away from the comfort of her life into Billy's glamorous but ruthless world. Their relationship throws Sophie right into the spotlight after years of shying away from attention. Can she handle the constant scrutiny that comes with being with Billy? And most of all, is she ready for her secret heartbreak to be discovered and shared with the nation? Interesting. Okay. I have no recollection of this storyline at all. But this is the book, and this is exactly why I play this game. This is exactly why I play this game. Okay, so we've got our 2 from the Brontes. They treated us very well this month. I approve. Thank you, ladies. All right, I am now shuffling the Jane Austen cards, and we'll see what Jane gives us. Ooh, Jane, you're flopping all over the place here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna do it like this. All right, we got a female. It is a black card, and it is number 9. It's Mary Musgrove from Persuasion. All right, Mary Musgrove from Persuasion. So it's a black card, and it's woman. So we're going to start at the top, and we're going to count this direction. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that last shelf down there is not TBR. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that right? 9. All right, so we're up here. These are just a random collection of hardback fiction, most of which I think I have not read. So let's see, we're going to count 9 from this direction over. Okay, I feel like this is like a February TBR because I got Ruth Jones, who I adore, but I got Ruth Jones, her book, Never Greener. Do I know what this is about? No. Did I get it just because Ruth Jones wrote it? Yes. So let's find out what it's about. I'm actually really excited. And this was a Better World Books. It's in kind of rough condition. It looks like it has been through like maybe a vacation. I don't know. So let's have a read here. It says, the past has a habit of tracking us down and tripping us up. When Kate was 21, she had an intense and passionate affair with a married man. So for those of you who don't like to read about infidelity, this may not be the book for you. Not that I like to read about it, but it doesn't really bother me in a book. Callum, which ended in heartbreak. Oh, the married man, his name was Callum. And it ended in heartbreak. Kate thought she would never get over it. 17 years later, life has moved on. Kate, now a successful actress. Wait a minute. We have another British one about an actor. Now we have a British one about an actress. I sense a theme. Thank you, cards. Kate, now a successful actress, is living in London, married to Matt, and mother to little Tallulah. I love that name. Meanwhile, Callum and his wife, Belinda, are happy together, living in Edinburgh and watching their kids grow up. The past, it would seem, is well and truly behind them all. But then Kate meets Callum again, and they are faced with a choice: to walk away from each other or to risk finding out what might have been. Second chances are a rare gift in life, but that doesn't mean they should always be taken. So this definitely may be like a full-on infidelity story, which for me, I don't mind reading about. It's not something I would aspire to. It's not, I mean, I don't condone infidelity, but I don't mind reading stories in which infidelity is part of the plot. So, yeah, I'm going to read this. Maybe it's not as much of a romance as I would like it to be, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I love Ruth Jones. I love the stories that she tells. I love the characters that she creates. Yeah, she is definitely one of my favorite living storytellers, for sure. Yeah, okay, happy. I'm so happy right now. So let's mix these up one more time before we get to middle grade March. Okay. We have an ace, which can be a 13 or a 1. It is a man. It is black, and it is a Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins. Let's have fun. Let's make it a 13. It's a man, so we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to count from over here because it's black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, this is so good for me. These are my self-destruct books. These are the books that I pledged to read this year, and decide whether or not they were staying or going. And if they don't get read, they're just going. So let's see here. Do I want that ace to be 13 or 1 in our counting? I don't want to look at it. I don't want that to influence my number pick. I'm going to go with 13 just because there's more chance involved in that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my word. Let me recount, make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's the truth. All right. So this self-destruct book is actually a book that I really, 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 really want to read. And it is one that I have been trying to read since, I don't know, 2012. I have gotten, in all that time, I've gotten 34 pages in. Not because it's not good, not because I'm not interested. Maybe a little bit because there's no audiobook. Maybe that's a little bit of it. I don't know. Maybe there is an audiobook. I don't know. I don't have one. But this book is Wellington. I don't know why. But I put it on this self-destruct. You should know that I'm a little bit obsessed with Wellington, particularly with his obsession with Napoleon. They were obsessed with each other. Yeah, I don't know how it started or what it is, but I know that I have read multiple biographies of this man. I have read his letters that are available. I have gone to visit his house in London. I will read Napoleon biographies looking just for references to Wellington. I don't think he was a good guy. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy, but like, I'm not idolizing him in any way, shape, or form. I just really love learning about the obsession he had with Napoleon in particular. So this is a personal history of Wellington. I really want to read this. I really haven't read this. I've really owned it for like 20 years. I really need to just read it to get past page 34. And I'm going to do it now, apparently. I'm going to do it now, which is so good for me because I really do need to do it. And actually, March is probably the best month to try and do this because we don't really have all that many adult books on the docket. So there we are. Those are our 4 books from off of the TBR shelves. I love doing this. I love it. I am currently completely having to restrain myself from doing just one more because I know that I have a huge stack of middle grade March books over here. So middle grade March, we're going to start that now. If you don't care about middle grade books, goodbye. See you next time. Until we meet again, let's go read. If you do want to know about middle grade March books, stick around because we are about to have a real good time for us middle grade readers. Obviously, I read middle grade any old time, but middle grade March, it's the bulk of what I read in the month. I have such a fun selection of books. I'm very excited about this. I think this may be one of my best middle grade March pile of possibilities that I've ever had. So let's get into it. Some of them are rereads. A couple of them are continuing middle grade series that I am reading over the course of this year. And most of them are brand new to me. Not necessarily to you, but to me. So here we go. I won't be reading all of these. This is just my pile of possibilities. I'll read as many of them as I can until I get middle graded out. That's what the adult books are for. Okay, so let's just start with whatever I have here on top. Let me say this. Let's just start. Let me talk. Middle Grade March is hosted by Amanda at On the Middle Shelf and Krista at Books and Jams and Katie at, I'm not sure, she's only on Instagram now, I think, but she participates in the videos that are posted on the Middle Grade March Devoted BookTube channel. Of those three women, Katie, I've never followed. I really don't know anything about her. But the other two women are so lovely. Amanda, I don't think is doing videos much anymore, but she does have a whole backlog of videos. And Krista, of course, is very active on BookTube. Well worth a watch. Support them completely in this endeavor. They do such a good job. I haven't bought merch in a few years, but they always give merch options from bookmarks to sweatshirts and all sorts of stuff in between. They also are doing a giveaway for the group read, which I am not reading. I almost never read their group read. I'm not reading their group read because it is an excellent book that I have already read. So you should give it a try, but I'm not going to be reading their group read. It is by Adam Gidwitz, and Adam Gidwitz is one of my, and will always be one of my favorite middle grade authors of all time, because once upon a time, I had a group of 7th graders, and we read The Inquisitor's Tale by him out loud. What a great book for a read aloud. We read that book out loud and had lots of philosophical discussions about it. It lends itself to that. And they were so excited that they initiated a desire to write an email to him. And they each wrote him an email expressing their fondness for the book and asking him some questions. And he, or someone in his staff, but I think at the time, him, responded individually to each child's email, specific answers to specific questions about him, about his child, about his 7th grade school life, which is why I really think it was him who was responding. And that made their whole 7th grade year. And I will forever be grateful to Adam Gidwitz for that. And I will buy any book he puts out there, whether I want to read it or not. So I do highly recommend that you read the group read. I think it's Adam in the House of Spies, I think is the name of it. And it is so fun and also really hard-hitting and harrowing at the same time. It takes place in World War II, but it's a different kind of World War II story. There's a fantasy element to it. It does not take place in a war zone. There is espionage going on. So highly, highly recommend it, but you won't see it on my list. So I just wanted to say that. They also have 5 prompts, and if I can remember what those 5 prompts are, I will check in with you about which books fit which prompts that I'm going to show you. I don't have them in any particular order, and I don't go by their prompts. I tend to collect books. Once March ends, I start collecting books for the next middle grade March. And so I tend to collect books that I want to have available to me to read, books that I think that I'm going to love. And then when they release the prompts, I go, which books fit what? So there may be some randoms here that don't fit any of their prompts, but I think most of these will fit at least one of the prompts. So the first book that I picked off my stack is The Misunderstandings of Charity Brown by Elizabeth layered. I love this cover. So let's see. I know that one of the prompts is a name in the title. So I have that. I know that one of the prompts is books on the cover, and that is a book right there. I know one of the prompts is historical fiction, siblings. We'll have to read the back. I don't know if there's siblings, and BIPOC author. Is that 5? I think that's 5. So this is not by a BIPOC author. And let's find out if they're siblings. But so far it meets 3 of the requirements for sure. Or not requirements, prompts. They're not required. So this is Charity Brown's life is about to change. Her family have been left a huge rambling house, and her parents went to throw open its doors to those in need. Charity's family are very religious, so she's both excited and nervous at the thought of sharing her home with strangers. It's a recipe for confusion, joy, and endless misunderstandings, including with the new neighbors, an Austrian, like from Austria, not Australia, Austrian family with a daughter, Rachel. Charity makes friends with Rachel, questions the strict rules at home, and grapples with surprising new feelings. Can she begin to imagine a different future? So I say this is historical fiction because I'm looking at this guy, this car shape for one thing, but also this man working under the hood. I think this is historical fiction. So I'm really excited about that. Then I have this one, which I've tried to read before, but have never had a physical copy of. I've only had an audio version, and I really want to read it. So I know a lot of you have already read and loved this one. I know that it's basically already a classic. It only came out a few years ago, but it's definitely a classic. And this is A Place to Hang the Moon by Kate Albus. So this one I know deals with siblings. There are books on the cover. It is historical fiction. It is not a person of color. It's not a BIPOC author. And there is no name, no character name in the title. So again, we have 3. This is mostly just reviews on the back, but it does say that it is a heartwarming story about 3 siblings evacuated from London to the countryside during World War II who are hoping that a temporary living situation will turn into a forever family. And people have spoken so highly about this. I do know the story, but I want to own it. I want to read it and make it my own. So I'm looking forward to finally doing that. I found this. I had never heard of this. This is a classic. It was written in the 1940s. It is not a World War II book, but it was written in the 1940s. And it is Fog Magic by Julia L. Sauer. I had never heard of this book before. When I saw it at a little used bookstore, I thought, wow, that looks like it's right up my alley. It says it was a Newbery Honor book at one point. I know that it was written in the 1940s. It says, Greta had always loved the fog, the soft gray mist that rolled in from the sea and drifted over the village. The fog seemed to have a secret to tell her. Then one day when Greta was walking in the woods and the mist was closing in, she saw the dark outline of a stone house against the spruce trees, a house where only an old cellar hole should have been. Another time, Greta saw a surrey come by. Must be a kind of boat. A surrey come by, carrying a lady dressed in plume-colored silk. The woman beckoned for Greta to join her, and soon Greta found herself launched on an adventure that would take her back to a past that existed only through the magic of the fog. This would have been so up my alley when I was a kid. I'm really pleased to have found this now. There are so many books like this that I wish I had known about when I was a kid. I would have just adored them, but I'm very thankful I can find them now. Obviously, this is not a name in the title. There are not siblings mentioned. Maybe there are siblings in it. I don't know, but there are not siblings mentioned. There's no book on the cover. I don't think Julia Sauer is a BIPOC author. There's no picture of her, but I don't get that feeling. And it is historical fiction. Ooh, I've been wanting to read this one for such a long time, and I finally just bought it. So this is The Many Reflections of Miss Jane Dimming by J. Anderson Coates. This is, name of the title, historical fiction. There are no books on the cover. It is not a BIPOC author. I don't know if they're siblings. Let's find out if there are siblings. It says, Washington Territory is just the place for men of broad mind and sturdy constitution. And girls too, Jane hopes. It must be true, or she wouldn't have been allowed to come on an expedition to bring unmarried girls and Civil War widows out west. Jane's constitution is sturdy enough. She's been taking care of her baby brother. We got siblings. She's been taking care of her baby brother ever since Papa was killed in the war, and her stepmother started working long days at the mill. The problem, she fears, is that her mind might not be suitably broad because she had to leave school. Still, a new life awaits in Washington Territory, and Jane plans to make the best of it. Except Seattle doesn't turn out to be quite as advertised. In this rough and tumble new world, Jane is going to need every bit of that broad mind and sturdy constitution, not to mention a good sense of humor and a stubborn streak a mile wide. I have been wanting to read it for such a long time. Finally gonna do it. This is one I added on to a book outlet order, and I think it's so cute and beautiful. This is The Royal Rabbits of London. The Royal Rabbits of London. And get a good little look at our royal rabbit there. This one does not have a name on the cover. I don't think it's historical fiction. It is not by a BIPOC author. There's probably siblings. It's a rabbit. I bet you there's siblings. And there are no, did I already say books? There are no books on the cover. So let's see what it says. Well, there's a book on the back cover, but it's the sequel. Does that count? I don't think so. It says, life is an adventure. Anything in the world is possible by will and by luck. With a moist carrot, a wet nose, and a slice of mad courage. Shiloh has always been the weakest and quietest of all his families. His siblings spend their days making fun of him for not being like the rest of them. But when he stumbles across a band of rats and overhears their evil plot against the queen, he knows he has to do something. So Shiloh sets off on a journey to London to find the royal rabbits who help protect the royal family. But can this smallest of rabbits become the greatest of heroes? I think I'm going to love that. We've got another World War II. This is one that I've had on previous TBRs and have actually started listening to, but realized I need a copy of this. I can't, this is not an audiobook only option for me. So this is The Night War by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. And I have obviously, everybody has heard mixed reviews over the last few years. I really enjoyed what I was able to take in, but I quickly realized as I was listening to it one previous middle grade March that I needed to have a physical copy of this to truly get it. So this one, oh, and look at that. Look at that. Who wouldn't want that? So this one says, we don't choose how we feel, but we choose how we act. It's 1942 and 12-year-old Miriam, who is Jewish, is not safe. With help and quick thinking, Miri is saved from the roundup that takes her entire Jewish neighborhood. She escapes Paris, landing in a small French village where the spies of the famous Chateau de, I'm not going to butcher that word by trying to say it, rise high into the sky, its bridge across the river Cher like a promise, a fairy tale. But Miri's life is no fairy tale. Her parents are gone, maybe alive, maybe not. When she's taken in at the boarding school near the chateau, Miri must pretend to be Catholic to escape Nazi capture. One night, she is called upon to undertake a deadly task, one that spans the castle grounds, its bridge, and the very border to freedom. Here is her chance to escape, to find her parents. But will she take it? One thing is certain. The person Miri meets that night will save her life, and the person Miri becomes that night could save the lives of many more. Okay, it is historical fiction. It is not a BIPOC author. There are no books on the cover. There is no name in the title. And as far as I know, no siblings. So, but it is historical. This one is new. This one is a brand new. This one just came out last year. And it's by an author that I've read and enjoyed books from before. This is When Sally O'Malley Discovered the Sea by Karen Cushman. I just adore the covers of all of Karen Cushman's books. There's just something so kind of retro. There's just something that's so kind of retro about them. I don't know. They remind me of cartoons from my childhood. I just love them. So this is when Sally O'Malley discovered the sea. So we've got a name in the title. It is historical fiction. I don't know if they're siblings, but we can find out. And it is not a BIPOC author. So it says, Sally O'Malley is down on her luck and always has been. She's an orphan working at a mineral spring hotel smack in the middle of Oregon. When she's chucked out like chewed on chicken bone, due entirely to an unfortunate incident with a pig and some church ladies. She decides things might actually be looking up, and so Sally heads west to the sea. Glorious, she's heard. Fierce, she's heard. Why not see for herself? Sure, it might be dangerous. On the very first day, after all, Sally encounters a ferocious bobcat. She has no place to belong and no one to depend on, but that's just the way she likes it. She's fearless and can handle anything that comes her way. Then a lady called Major, an old donkey, a loyal dog, and an abominable brat show up. It turns out that some things are even scarier than bobcats. So it sounds like some found family. I am really, really looking forward to reading this one. I think it's just going to be so joyful, so joyful. I have two that are the third books in the series, and I've been reading one a month over the course of the year. So I'm counting them for middle grade March too. I'm reading the third book in the Ramona Quimby series. This is Ramona the Brave. And I'm reading the third book in the Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing series, or the Fudge series. And this is Super Fudge. And both of them have names in the title. Both of them, I think at this point in life, you could consider them classics. I think at this point in life, you could consider them historical fiction as they take place in the 70s and the very early 80s. I am from the 70s and remember the very early 80s, so I shudder to call that historical fiction, but we'll go ahead and say it's historical fiction. Neither of these are BIPOC authors. There are no books on either cover. They both deal with siblings. This one is so heavy, this book. When I was a kid, I would go to the library and I would bring home just the heaviest books because it felt like they were more substantial than the others. So I would have been all over this one for a lot of reasons. This is Beyond Mulberry Glen by Millie Florence and illustrated by Astrid Shekels. It has paper on the cover, but not a book. I don't know if these are siblings or not. We'll have to read about it. There is not a name in the title. It is historical fiction. I think it's fantasy, but it's taking place in a time before ours. And I do not believe, it is not a BIPOC author. So it is historical, though. We'll go with that. It is historical. And maybe siblings. We'll find out. It says 11-year-old Lydia Green doesn't want anything to change. She lives happily in Mulberry Glen with her mismatched family of a fairy guardian, a philosopher, and twin troublemakers known as the Z's. I think we can count the twin troublemakers as siblings. Why not? She's growing up with them. Now rumors swirl about the darkness with a capital D, a powerful force that dwells in the forest Tenebrae. Lydia knows the darkness is nothing to be trifled with, but when a foolish choice made by the Z's puts her family in danger, she must leave home and face the strange, magical world of the Valley Lands. Among the shifting library shelves and new friends of her quest, Lydia uncovers more questions than answers. If she wants to save her family, she will have to be braver than she has ever been before. In this captivating tale filled with heartwarming characters, Millie Florence weaves a tapestry of courage, heart, and magic. Beyond Mulberry Glen is a hope-filled fantasy for readers of all ages. I love a hope-filled anything. Hope-filled anything is right up my alley. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. And that's just such a beautiful book. And believe you me, it is heavy, heavy, heavy. Oh, okay. I got this one because I believe it's Kate Howe is reading another series or has read another series by this author, an adult series. And I've never read anything by this author, but when I looked her up, this came up as the first book in a series that she wrote in the 40s, I believe. Let's double check that. Yes, 1947. And it stole my heart. It just stole my heart. So you have a family. This is definitely siblings. It's definitely historical fiction. It is not a BIPOC author. There are no books on this cover, and I don't think we can count Happy Little Family as a name in the title. But let me read them back to you. Before I do, though, here's an illustration to go with the scene. It's a mother tying a scarf around her child's head to keep her warm. So here we go. It says, "May I go skating then, mother? I'm big enough." Whenever her back was turned to the fire, Bonnie looked out the window. Beyond the road, along the edge of the mountains, wound the river. It was frozen solid, as it was always frozen in January, and people were sliding on the ice. Bonnie blinked as she watched them. She could have been sliding on the ice, too, instead of warming herself by the fire, if only Debbie and Emmy, Chris, and Alfie hadn't given her grown-up advice as they buttoned their coats and pulled on their warm mittens. "Oh, Bonnie sugar, you can't go," said Debbie, who was 6. "You were only 4 the day before yesterday. You'll freeze your toes right off, honey," Emmy, Bonnie's favorite sister, told her. "Shucks, Bonnie, you've got no idea how cold it is out there," warned Chris. "You just get in the way," said Alfie. Alfie was 12. Father, pulling on big brown mittens, smiled down at Bonnie and said nothing at all. So Bonnie stayed home by the fire, warming herself. As she turned herself for the 10th time, Mother came in from the kitchen. It is a good thing that mothers understand what no one else seems to when you are the youngest child and are finally 4 years old. Bonnie is more than ready to join her older sisters and brother in the many adventures she sees come their way. Whether it be sliding along the ice, searching for arrowheads, or going on that journey of all journeys across the swinging bridge to school, winter or summer, something is always happening in the Fairchild house, tucked amidst the pine trees of the Kentucky hills. And 4 years old or not, Bonnie usually manages to be in the middle of it. I think that this is going to be another, steal my heart, All of a Kind family. I think this is going to get me, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Very much here for it. All right, here we go. We've got The Teacher of Nomadland, a World War II story by Daniel Nayeri. Daniel Nayeri wrote, you may be aware, Everything Sad is Untrue, which is maybe his most famous book. He's written other things as well, but this is brand new. It either came out this year or last year. Yeah, last year. And this cover is beautiful, but get a load of the hardback, which is just stunningly beautiful. Stunningly beautiful. This is another World War II book, but unlike any World War II book I think I have ever read in my many hundreds of World War II books that I've read in my life, this one says, let's do this first. The Teacher of Nomadland, a World War II story. So there's no name in the title. We can't count teacher. There's no name in the title. It is historical fiction. There are no books on the cover. It is a BIPOC author, and it is siblings. It is siblings. So it says, 1941, the German armies are storming across Europe. Iran is a neutral country occupied by British forces on one side, Soviet forces on another. Soldiers fill the tea houses of Isfahan. Nazi spies roam the alleyways. Babak and his little sister have just lost their father, now orphans. Fearing they will be separated, the two devise a plan. Babak will take up his father's old job as a teacher to the nomads. With a chalkboard strapped to Babak's back and a satchel full of textbooks, the siblings set off to find the nomad tribe as they make their yearly trek across the mountains. On the treacherous journey, they meet a Jewish boy hiding from a Nazi spy, and suddenly they are all in a race for survival. Against the backdrop of World War II comes an epic adventure in faraway places. Through the cacophony of soldiers, tanks, and planes, can young hearts of different creeds and nations learn to find a common language. That sounds phenomenal. The thing is I want to read every single one of these books. I need to not have to work so that I can read every single one of these books. Every year for the last 3 years, this is the 4th year, I have read the next book in this series. So 3 years ago, I read the first one. 4 years ago, I read the first one and decided that each year, for 6 years, because there are 6 books in the series, I hope there aren't only 5. I think there are 6, that I would read the next book. So every year I revisit The Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place. And this year's installment is The Interrupted Tale. I'm not going to tell you what this particular book is about because it is the 4th book in the series, but we have a very young governess. I think she's 16 or something. She's very young. And she has graduated from a school for young orphan children and been hired to be the governess of these 3 kiddos who were raised by wolves. And she is tasked with teaching them to be human, teaching them to read and to write and to be eloquent and have manners. And there's some big mysteries that are involved in this series. So you have to start with the first book and read forward. Don't just dive in anywhere. This is a series, these characters, they just dig into your heart. The little girl is named Cassiopeia. She's my absolute favorite. I love Cassiopeia, and I love them all, but Cassiopeia is definitely my fave. So the mysteries are surrounding, like, where did these kids come from? Who are their real parents? Why are they with the family that they're with now? Why did they hire such a young governess? Who are the governess's parents? She was orphaned or left the school. There's a lot of things going on. So each installment, each book deals with something like a mystery or intrigue of some sort that is solved within the context of that particular book. But then over the course of the series, larger mysteries are developed. You're following larger things that won't be revealed until, or won't be made clarified until the last book in the series. And it has been an absolute delight. I listen to the audio while reading along. I read along because there are delicious full-page sketches throughout. And definitely it is a book that I definitely like pull phrases from and want to highlight and share quotes from. But the audio is perfection. The audio is so good. I just love everything about that series. I will be sad when it's over. I've been reading one a year has been the perfect pacing. I look forward to it every single year. This one I pre-ordered. This one just came out in 2026, and I'm so excited about it because it is a middle grade book, the first middle grade book that I'm aware of by this author. She's a Swedish author, and she writes some of my very favorite thrillers. This one is a thriller for middle grade kids, and she wrote it with her daughter. It is translated fiction, and it is a little bit, I think, magical realism. Who is it? What is it? This is The Secrets Below. It's the first book in a new series, The Whispering Sea Mysteries. It is by Camilla Stinn and her daughter, Vivica Stinn, and it is translated by A.A. Prime. And if you can't tell what's on this cover, it's like a dock with a boat at the end of it with a little girl in the boat and a bunch of like lights on top of the water. It says, let's see. Wait, I didn't do these. Let's see. We do have a book on the cover. We do have the name, kind of the children, the incorrigible children. Maybe not. Let's not count that. No name. It is historical fiction, not a BIPOC author, definitely siblings. This one, let's read the back and find out, because I can't remember if they're siblings. It says, what happened? It says, only she can help reset the balance. What happened out there in the woods? 12-year-old Tuva couldn't imagine living anywhere other than the Stockholm archipelago and her island home of Haro, even if she mostly keeps to herself at her small school, even if she sometimes gets kind of lonely. But when a classmate goes missing, Tuva finds herself at the center of the mystery, along with Rasmus, the new boy at school. Neither of them can understand what they saw that day in the woods near the water. Is something magical at work? Something evil? And it's not just their classmate who has gone missing. Other people around the islands have gone missing this fall, disappearing from their boats on the water, never to be heard from again. Can Tuva and Rasmus discover what secrets are lurking below before it's too late? That just sounds so good. So good. Okay, so no siblings, not BIPOC, no books on the cover, not historical, no name in the title. This is an outlier. This doesn't count for any of the prompts, but I don't care. I'm really excited about it. Really, really excited to read that one. I got a used copy, a library rechecked copy of The Hannah by Marguerite de Angeli. And you might recognize that name. One of her most long-lasting. She was an author in the 50s and in the 40s and 50s, and her most well-known, I think, book is The Door in the Wall, or A Door in the Wall, about the little boy whose parents, one goes off to war, and the father goes off to war, and the mother goes off to serve in the court, and they think that they have sent their young son to be apprenticed into knighthood, but unbeknownst to them, he has fallen ill and lost the use of his legs. And so it's his adventure in that way, and him learning to come to terms with himself and finding his own inner world, and a whole host of found family comes together. It's a beautiful, beautiful book with really gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous illustrations. And this, I think, will be no different. So this one takes place right before the Civil War, I believe in Pennsylvania. And it is, in fact, definitely Pennsylvania. And it is about a Quaker girl. Hannah is a girl who's growing up in the Quaker community. And this is just a look into her life as she tries to handle her desires for pretty things and parties and sweets and treats and lots of things that are not part of her childhood, not part of her religious community's belief system. What really drew me to this were the illustrations. I mean, some of these I just want. There are more color ones. It's not falling open to them, but there are more color ones. Some of these I would just want to frame almost. But I have never read this, and I had actually never heard of it. And so look at that. I'm really looking forward to this being just a immersive read. Oh, we have to do I was going to say historical read. It is historical fiction. The child's name is in the title. As much as I would like to say there's a book in that basket, I see no books on this cover. Not a BIPOC author. And I honestly have no idea if they're siblings. I'd have to read it. I'm going to guess that probably there are siblings. Just from the time period, I'm going to guess that there are probably siblings. But maybe not. Just a couple more. So I went ahead and pulled this one off of my birthday book haul shelf because it is middle grade. It is nonfiction. It is a birthday book haul book, so I do want to read it this year. And I figured having a little bit of nonfiction would be a good thing because I only have currently 2 nonfictions. Oh, 3. I have 3. But still, that's pretty low. I only have 3 nonfictions on this particular TBR. So I figured this would be a good one. This is Amy Jeff's Storyland, Discover the Magical Myths and Lost Legends of Britain. It is such a beautiful book. So very, very beautiful. Both the cover and the hardback underneath the cover, just gorgeous, just gorgeous. And the end papers, Also gorgeous. I love a beautiful book. I don't have to have a beautiful book, but I love a beautiful book. Let's see. This one, again, nonfiction. It says, you will have heard of Thor, Medusa, and Hercules. But what about the myths of the British landscape? The Trojan heroes who wrestled giants, the Syrian sisters who found refuge on our lands, the dragons who slept in hollow hills, and the kings who communed with the dead. Traveling across the wildest of landscapes as far north as Orkney and south as Cornwall, you will build Stonehenge with the young Merlin, chase hounds up the mountains of Wales, ride stags into the forests of Scotland, and sail with Trojans along the rivers of Britain, discovering a land steeped in myth, monsters, and heroes. So, for this one, there is a book on the cover. It is not historical fiction. There is no name in the title. It is not BIPOC, and there are no siblings, although there probably are some stories of siblings in here. maybe. But definitely has a book on the cover. And then the last two I have are rereads that I would like to get to. These are total comfort rereads, and you're gonna laugh probably when I tell you what one of the comfort rereads is. I'll start with the one that would make sense as a comfort reread. This is Pat of Silverbush. I've been trying to reread this duology for such a long time, and I just haven't done it. So this is Pat. The second book is Mistress Pat. I will read that this year too, hopefully. But I'm definitely going to read this. Again, it is a reread. I read this when I was a teenager. It is an L.M. Montgomery, and it is everything you hope an L.M. Montgomery will be. It says, Patricia Gardner loved Silverbush more than anything else in the world. She was born and raised in the beautiful old-fashioned house on Prince Edward Island in a world where things always seemed the same. And good things never changed. But of course, things do change, for better and for worse, at Silverbush, starting with the arrival of Pat's brand new baby sister. Then there's Pat's terrible bout with scarlet fever, her first romance, her aunt's wedding, her mother's illness. Through it all, Pat shares her experiences with her dear friends, Bets Wilcox and Jingle Gordon, and the amazing, mysterious old Judy Plum. And along the way, she finds the one thing that truly never changes, the beauty and peace she will always find at Silverbush, the house that remembers her whole life. So there is a name in the title. It is not historical fiction. It's a classic, and it's written in the time period in which it takes place. So it's not historical fiction. There's no book on the cover. I'm just making sure there's not one like on the porch or something. There's no book on the cover. It is not a BIPOC author, and there are siblings. There are siblings and a name on the cover. And then finally, the one that you're going to think like, really, Jenna, that's a comfort read. It is a comfort read for me. I love this book. So there's a book and a novella in here. There's a novel and a novella in here, and I will probably just read the novel, not the novella. So I'll just talk about that one. That's Jane Emily by Patricia Clapp. This is the classic novel of the supernatural. And it is, believe it or not, a middle grade geared scary story. It's so scary. I love it. Love it. So this one says the spine-tingling ghost story and beloved fan favorite is finally back in print. So it was first published in 1969, and then it was republished in 2007. A few publications in between in the 80s, but I think from 89 to 2007, it hadn't been republished. So you may have missed this one. I did not. I read this as a teen and fell in love with it, really. So it says, Emily was a selfish, willful, hateful child who died before her 13th birthday. But that was a long time ago. Jane is 9 years old and an orphan when she and her young Aunt Louisa come to spend the summer at Jane's grandmother's house, a large, mysterious mansion in Massachusetts. Then one day, Jane stares into a reflecting ball in the garden, and the face that looks back at her is not her own. Many years earlier, a child of rage and malevolence lived in this place, and she never left. Now Emily has dark plans for little Jane, a blood-chilling purpose that Louisa, just a girl herself, must battle with all her heart, soul, and spirit, or she will lose her innocent, helpless niece forever. One of the most adored ghost stories of all time is available again after 30 years to thrill and chill a new generation. And it also includes, it says a bonus novel by Patricia Clapp, Witches' Children, but really it's just a novella. I love Jane Emily so much. It really, really was a gateway ghost story for me into reading more scary things. And fun fact, I picked it up and read it as a teen because I had just discovered and read for the very first time in my life Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights by Charlotte Bronte, who wrote Jane Eyre, and Emily Bronte, who wrote Wuthering Heights. So Jane, Emily, I pulled it off the shelf because, it felt, the library shelf, because, it felt important. So that is my, once again, crazy huge stack of books. Again, I won't read all of these books. That's not the intention. I call it a TBR because these are books that I intend to read maybe in March, maybe some other time, but they are books I intend to read. These are possibilities for the month of March. I'm really excited about all of them. If I had my way, I would have enough time to read every single one of these in the month of March. April wouldn't start until I finished all these books, but the world doesn't work that way. So I'll read what I can and have just the most fun time. I can't tell you how excited I am about all of these. And I think there's such a wide range. I can tell you that Wellington has got to be read. I've got to keep that book. Wellington has got to be read. I'm now kicking myself for putting it on my self-destruct shelf. Okay. I got to read Wellington. Will I do it? Yeah, I'll do it. Until we meet again, my friends, let's go read.